Hello Debate Kansas City, Isaac Allen here with you. Today we are going to be discussing the issue of precedence, or keeping a precedence chart in a student congress session. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines precedent as prior in time, order, arrangement, or significance. And that's exactly what it is, because it determines speaker order in the context of student congress. So we are determining whose turn it is, what order people will speak in. Very simple. In a student congress session, you're going to have your participants, about 20 to 30 of them, and as they come in, if you're the presiding officer, you should keep yourself a precedence chart. Although I strongly suggest and urge that every member of the Congress keep a precedence chart just to make sure that everything is moving according to plan. If you were to notice a mess up in precedent, you could call a point of order, and if you are indeed correct, it makes you look very good in the eyes of the judge because it shows that you know what is going on. But like I was saying, you fill out a precedence chart, which is simply a seating chart. It would look something like this. We always have them available for you at the ballot table at DKC tournaments, so if you want one, please come up to us, we'll provide it. And you fill it out just like you would fill out any other seating chart, just where people are. If you notice on the example I have here, I have 3 rows of names all filled out. And these 3 rows of names are our mock participants today, the ones we'll be using. And precedence is just keeping track of who spoke and when they spoke. So, first of all, let's say that the first speech in the session, the first authorship speech in the session, was given by Gabe. So I would mark next to Gabe's name a 1. Notice, 1. This means that Gabe has given 1 speech, and also that he was the first speech. And I'm going to explain to you 2 different ways that people keep precedence. Now, the second speech, the first negative speech in the round, was given by, let's say, by Beth. On Beth's name, I wrote a 2. Very simple. First, second speech. Moving along. Say the next speech was given by Mitch, I'm going to put 3, and by Abby gave the 4th speech, and Ty gave the 5th speech. Alright, so after the 5th speech, the 6th speech, both Gabe and Mitch stand up to give a speech. Now look at this. Gabe gave the first speech, and Mitch gave the 3rd speech. Who has precedence? It's sort of a trick question. They have equal precedent. In other words, both would be able to speak, or would be up to speak. It would be up to the PO's discretion. Now, how I as a PO solve this is by adding the addition of recency. That's why I keep numbers and not just little tally marks. I would look down and say, well, Gabe has spoke least recently in the session, so I would give the speech to him. But according to the rules of precedent, they would have equal precedent because they had the same number of speeches. Now, let's say that in this scenario, that speech goes to Gabe, so we'll give him a 6 on the precedence chart. Got to make sure you keep it a full precedence chart through the entire process, or else your chart's going to be off and you will make a mistake. Let's say in this process that Beth and Isaac stand up. Beth and Isaac, notice Beth has given 1 speech and Isaac's given none. Who would be in order to speak? That's right, Isaac would be in order to speak. He would get the 7th speech. And you pretty much just continue this for the entire session. At DKC tournaments, precedence does carry over to the next session, so that everybody has an opportunity to speak at these tournaments. Some tournaments, it will reset and precedence will restart every session. Make sure you check the rules of the tournaments you're attending to know exactly how they're going to handle that situation. It's pretty straightforward. The key thing is just maintaining and remembering during the session to fill out the precedence chart. It's absolutely essential if you're going to be a presiding officer, but I also feel that it's essential if you're going to be a good student congress member, because keeping track of whose turn it is to speak can only help you get a speech. So let's say I'm Isaac and I'm sitting down here, and it comes time and I have a speech I want to give, and Gabe stands up to give a speech too. I know immediately by looking at my precedence chart that I would have the right to speak before him. So I could jump up, and if the presiding officer didn't call on me, I could say, point of order, I have precedence. Everybody would look down, check the chart. So let's do that. Let's check the chart. All right. Notice he's given 2 speeches, I've given 1. I would be in order to take the floor and give my speech, which could make the difference between me going to super session or winning an award versus getting nothing and just sitting in the audience during the awards ceremony. So it's not very difficult, and it can only pay dividends, and it's absolutely necessary if you're going to become a presiding officer. Once again, this has all been about precedent. I hope you've learned something, and that's all I have on this today. Thanks, and I'll see you at the tournament.